first video that AntDude had me edit for his main channel was his ranking every Nintendo Switch game video, and the project file wound up crashing my computer. Now, the video itself isn't all too strenuous. There are a couple of parts where there's split-screen gameplay of 2 or more games, and there are a couple of quick images like the Donkey Kong price comparisons and the Red Luigi bit, but I've created content with visuals that were far more intensive on my computer in the past, so why did this project cause such a problem? Well, because AntDude had opted to cover so many different games in this video, that meant that I needed footage of each of these games in order to construct everything. Fortunately, I already have plenty of gameplay archived from across the many years I've been creating content and editing for various clients, and I have a designated external hard drive nicknamed Goodra after the bulky Pokemon, in which I store most of it. And on top of that, for any of the games in which it didn't have pre-existing footage, AntDude generously supplied his own clips, as was the case with the Fire Emblem and Xenoblade titles. As a result, the two of us combined had footage for over 100 games, and while I would normally import everything into a project file from the get-go, downloading all of the additional footage was taking a while. So rather than just sit around and wait for everything to finish downloading, I opted to start the project as soon as I could and just download or import any and all additional clips as I went along. And this meant that I started editing portions in a non-linear fashion until I was able to download a sufficient amount of clips to cover everything that I was missing. And mind you, I was importing a fair share of clips for each game that was mentioned. I wanted to ensure that there was plenty of variety in each of the gameplay that was shown. So, with over 100 games mentioned in the whole video, and with about a dozen or so clips imported for each game that was mentioned, that meant that the project file wound up having over 1,000 individual gameplay files in it. And these files were imported into it not just from my Goodra drive, but a couple of other internal and external hard drives as well. In fact, I had to move this project file onto its own external hard drive just so that I could work on it without it taking up all the space on my native computer hard drive. Eventually, I had imported just one too many files for my computer to process, and that meant that my computer really started to slow down. Even playing back parts of the video that were already fine and non-intensive really made my computer chug. I'm even a bit hesitant to showcase the project file right now because I'm afraid my computer is going to freeze up again. I spent a good 2 or 3 hours just trying to optimize everything, but alas, those hours were for naught. I ultimately settled on creating a second project file just to work on the second half of the video, and I only imported the clips that would be necessary for those final remaining segments of the project. This meant that on top of re-importing about 500 files this time, I now had to export the first half of the video from the first project file and then import it into the second project file so that I may resume editing everything from there. It's an admittedly simple solution, but a very time-consuming one, but I needed to do it. And do you want to know what clip was the final straw for my computer? It was Clubhouse games. This one file was all that I needed for that segment, and the file itself isn't corrupted or big or anything. It was just this one extra file that truly tipped my computer over the edge and caused the whole project file to burst. In any case, I was eventually able to resume and complete the editing of AntDude's latest video, but for this reason, I will now forever hold a grudge against Clubhouse games.